Hey guys, welcome back to a new playground and a new challenge. So today we're actually going to be taking a look at this one here, which is called Castle Crasher. And this one's going to be a little bit different than the rest of them that we've been doing. One of the main reasons is because you're basically on your own, and I'll talk about that here in just a moment. One of the first things I always want to mention is please make sure that you name or rename your project. Put your last name in there, so that way I know it makes it a little bit easier for me to recognize whose project is who as I'm going through each of them and watching what you do. All right, so again, you need to make sure you open up the correct playground. We are going to the Castle Crasher, all right, which is right down here. And when you log in, this is what you're going to see. So on here, we can see that we have 5 different castles. And if we come in at a different view, you can see they are 3-dimensional objects. Each of them are just a set of blocks or cylinders with some triangle roofs on them. And you're actually able to run into these and break them down. They fall over. You can push them off the edge. And that's pretty much what the challenge is going to be. So let's actually take a look at the challenge itself. So this one is actually called Storm the Castle. Again, our playground is Castle Crasher. And here's your challenge. So the big question here is how many buildings can you knock down and can you knock off the platform in 1 minute? So each castle that's knocked down, the entire building anyways, is worth 2 points for a total of 10 points possible because there are 5 buildings. Each piece of those buildings that's knocked off the platform is worth an additional point. Now, if we go back and we actually take a look at these, you can see that we have 2 pieces that make up this small one here. So we have a small gray block and the yellow triangle roof. So if you were to knock this one off completely, that's going to be an additional 2 points compared to, say, this large square castle in the center. We have 4 of these kind of larger black blocks, 4 of the gray blocks here, and then 4 of the triangular roofs. So that is in total, right, 12 points. So for every individual piece that falls off, you get an extra point, right? So after you knock them over, you'll notice that they'll kind of break apart into smaller pieces, and then you can go around and kind of push those smaller pieces off, or however you want to strategize it. Whatever your strategy is, try and come up with a plan, and you only have 60 seconds to do it. All right, so if we run down through, obviously we can just pay attention to what's happening down here. You have up to 60 seconds to get as many of these blocks knocked over or the buildings knocked over and blocks pushed off the edge before that 60-second timer runs up. Anything that runs over 60 seconds, which I have on here as well, only the first 60 seconds is actually going to be used to determine the number of points earned. So anything that happens after that 60 seconds is up is not going to count towards your total score. A few different helpful hints. And this one here kind of goes along with our bonus challenge. So it'd just be good to turn it on in the first place anyways, just from the beginning. So use your pen to trace your path. Be careful not to fall off the side. All right, the playground has no walls. So you're easily able to just drive the robot right off the edge. There are sensors that you can use to help you avoid this from happening, and which I'll talk about that here. But in order to make some use of the different sensors that you have, the castle building pieces are detected as objects by the distance sensor if you choose to use it. Now, again, you don't have to use sensors, but in this case, they could be quite beneficial to you if you know how to use them correctly. And one thing you can think back to was the robot vacuum, or even the coral reef assignment that we did a while back. those could certainly help you out in designing the proper code to actually work with this. In addition to that, you may want to use the color sensing block from the sensing category to detect the hazard area, which is the red edging. All right, the red edging, if we look here, this is not a wall. It's actually a flat zone where your robot can just drive right off the edge. So you can actually use that to your advantage. So it's right around the edge of the playground. And it's actually, it can be detected by the down eye sensor as the color red. So if you remember back to this block here, down eye detects red, you can set something up. So if the down eye detects something red, then you could tell it to do whatever, right? Turn around or back up or whatever you want to do, whatever you think is going to save you some time and to keep the robot in bounds. And finally, just moving on down to the bonus here, just to mention this, the question here is, how fast can you knock over all 5 buildings? So this is for bonus points. Make sure in order for this to count, you have to use the pen to trace your path. All right. So fastest time for each class. That's not just overall, but each class wins bonus points. I might do something for the fastest time as well. So since you have to use the pen to trace your path, that's why I put that up here as kind of a helpful hint, right? Use the pen to trace your path. If you're running it anyways, at least you're running it to maybe try and get those all 5 of those buildings knocked over as quickly as possible. It's all going to come down to strategy, and which direction you're going to be heading and how you're hitting those buildings in order to save some time. Now, again, this is up to you. This whole assignment is up to you. You have all of the blocks available at your disposal. Everything over here is available to you. Make use of the abilities that you have, everything that you've learned, and make the best of it. All right. But the overall goal is just to try to do as much damage as possible, I guess we can say, to these castles within 60 seconds. All right. 60 seconds isn't a whole lot of time, but try to strategize as best as you can and come up with the best plan. So just to start you off, I do like to typically take a look at a few main things. Obviously, we want to start off with this right here, is actually setting our drive velocity to 100% and setting our turn velocity to 100%. That's going to speed up our robot to the maximum speed, right? In addition to that, we want to turn on our robot pens. We have to set our robot pen color to whatever color you'd like and move your robot pen down, just like you're putting a pen down onto the paper. A couple other things you might end up using, again, as I mentioned in the little hints, is the distance found an object. This is actually going to help you use the distance sensor for the robot to recognize the objects on the field, and the down eye sensor, which is actually going to detect the boundary, which is red. Now, you don't have to use the sensors, as I mentioned. You can easily just throw in something like a drive forward, turn right, turn left, if you would rather do something like that. But that may not guarantee you, say, bonus points for the fastest time or the being able to maximize your points for the challenge. So if we run this, as you can tell, it sets all of that and it runs my robot forward. This does not count. As you can tell, I only knocked down half the building. The other 2 sides are standing, or the other 2 corners here are standing. So we need to knock those over as well. So you might need to do some additional things. And I just threw something together here just to show you that it is possible. We'll run this. So it might take you a little bit to knock over certain buildings and whatever. And obviously, the way that I did it is probably not going to be the most efficient or the fastest way. So that's the main thing that you need to do, is try and focus on getting that, getting those buildings knocked over, as quickly as possible. And in addition to that, adding in some more code or doing whatever you have to do using the sensors to drive after those pieces and push them past the red barrier, push them off of the board. So again, no more additional help with this. This is really just completely up to you. However you feel like doing this, and yeah, come up with the best strategy. Good luck, and give it your best shot. All right, guys, have a good one.